We are now joined by Chase Elliott, driver of the number 9 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. And Chase, before we dive in, I just want to ask you, as we go to the road course this weekend, if you were a fan, why would you want to tune in and watch this race?
Well, typically road racing, I feel like is gives you a little bit of everything. The challenges that we see on road courses is just different than the typical oval track that we go to. And a lot of times it's exciting too. People trying to get every inch of the track, and as we saw last week, running through the dirt, trying to make it work. So yeah, just something a little different, a little bit of a change of pace, which I think is nice from the regular ovals.
Outstanding. We're going to go to questions, and our first question is going to come from Bob Pockris. Go ahead with your question, Bob.
Yeah, Chase, when preparing for this race, do you go back and look at video of the last lap of the clash, or is it too raw and too memorable still in your head to not relive it?
Oh, no. I mean, I haven't really studied it, but I know what happened, and yeah, it's not too I don't get emotional watching it. It's one of those things that it happened. It's over with. I hate the result. But yeah, you have to learn from it. And, I think there's a lot of things I can learn from last week. I think we can be better from a balance standpoint. I think I can be better behind the wheel. And then, obviously if you get put in those situations like that, how would you go about it differently to, have a different result? And I think that's kind of the big question that from last week is, what do you do different, right? Like the bottom lane was there, was kind of in there, and I don't know what, exactly how to change up my approach there to better my chance of winning. So yeah, I mean, all those things I've thought through, and yeah, if we're faced with it again, we'll see how it goes.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Our next question will come from Claire B. Lang. Go ahead with the question, Claire.
Thank you. So, Joey Logano and his teammate haven't talked yet, but they will, work it out like a marriage. He said, that you're not going to throw the spouse out the door if you have an argument or whatever, you get along, right? Have you and Blaney, your buddy, talked? And I mean, does that make it harder on the track when some people just don't even want to have friends on the track for that reason?
Yeah, we've talked. We're fine. It doesn't fix his race car from last weekend, and it certainly doesn't fix his result. And I understand that for sure. I've been there, and I get it. And look, I mean, it's like if you're gonna wreck somebody on purpose to win a race, typically that person wins, right? So it just the way it all worked out. I hate that neither one of us won the race. If I can't win, I would love to see him win, right? And I think he feels the same way. I think he would even still feel the same way after last week. But yeah, we're fine. And we both hate the result. I hate it as much as he does and did. But it's racing, and when we're racing for wins, that's a great problem to have, right? If he and I wrecked racing for 15th, that'd be one thing. But if he and I are racing for wins, and mistakes happen, or somebody gets a bad end of it just because that's the way it worked out, if you really look at the big picture, that's not all bad, right? If he and I are having opportunities to win races. So that's the high spot for me, and hopefully we'll have more chances to have a good finish to the line, and not have that happen.
And can you explain the thing which I don't understand when people say, well, if you're going to make the move, you better win the race? But you never know when you make the move if you're going to win the race, right? And so there's been callers talking about that, or racers talk about that. I mean, you never really know you're going to win the race when you make the move, right?
Well, you certainly put yourself in a better position sometimes than others if you're just going to flat out crash a guy to win. I mean, I would say most of the time the intent is not there to crash the guy. It's somebody being aggressive and maybe being a little too aggressive, or lanes come together, or whatever it may be, right? So I don't know that the intent is there very often for a person to just crash someone and win. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to do it on purpose, yeah, clean them out and keep trucking. I mean, I guess you know, that's, I assume how someone would go about it if you were gonna do it on purpose. But yeah, I was trying to get next to him and get beside him, not run through his back bumper. I think that was the big difference in that situation.
You have some fun on the road course this weekend. Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next question is going to come from Mark Garrow. Go ahead with the question, Mark.
Chase, if you find yourself in the same spot, given what happened, do you find yourself more reluctant to go in there again? Or do you say, look, I've studied it. I think I could have a better approach. I've learned something from it, so I can just barge in there again and try?
I mean, look, it's like I said after the race, if I'm not trying to win, then what am I doing? And I think that's, that's pretty cut and dry, right? So if the lane's there for me, I think, and you're coming to the checkered flag, I think you have to give yourself a chance to win in that situation. Me riding behind him through that chicane and not trying to get next to him on entry was 100% not going to allow me to win. There was no way I was following him through there and going to, get in the gas and have better drive off the corner with my older tires to the line. That wasn't happening. So I knew that. And I felt like my best chance was to get next to him on entry and try to get up beside him. And it didn't work out. But situations change. You might be on offense. You might have a better tire than the guy in front of you. That tends to lend better drive off. If you're on offense in that situation, then maybe you do something a little different. But in that situation last weekend, my best chance was to get next to him on entry, and that's what I did.
And my other question is, how important is to a team, even one that you feel like obviously you're going to have multiple wins this year, or that's obviously the plan going in, given your past performance. So how important is it, though, to get an early win, just to get one out of the way as soon as possible?
I mean, you never know, right? I mean, Phoenix could have been my last. I don't know. And nobody does, right? You have to enjoy all of them as if they are your last. And that's always going to be my approach in this stuff. They're too hard to get. So I don't get picky on race wins. They're too hard to win. And you never know when they can or won't come. So whenever, wherever, however, I think you have to enjoy them. And I don't know. I think you can go on a good run late in the season, just as you can early in the season.
All right, thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Jenna Fryer. Go ahead with the question, Jenna.
Hey, Chase, I'm wondering, the last lap of the Daytona 500, if that had been you and another Hendrick guy, how do you think the expectations would be for the two teammates to race there?
I don't think it has anything to do with the team you drive for. I think it has to do with the individual and how that person races. So I don't think it would have mattered if you were at, wherever, Hendrick or Penske or wherever. I think that has more to do with the driver than it does the owner.
Have you had a chance to rewatch it?
Yeah, I saw just right there after the race. They had it up there on the big screen. I mean, yeah, while I was doing my interview, but that was about it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Our next question will come from Woody Kane. Go ahead with the question, Woody.
Hey, Chase, appreciate your time. I know you're focused on the road course this weekend, but can you describe what it is that drivers like so much about the track itself at Homestead for next week?
Well, I think, the biggest thing that everybody likes is running up by the wall, right? Like that's the thing that's kind of cool, and nobody really, or not a lot of tracks let you do that. A lot of times the track isn't symmetrical enough to run that close to it for that period of time. Like it might have little sections of the wall that, might dip in or out. And when that happens, it makes it really hard to run right by it because it's hard to follow a curve in the wall. But Homestead's a place where the wall is super symmetrical, and you know, the track is symmetrical, you know, and progressive banking too, which I think all those things kind of give you options on lanes to run and just something a little different from the norm.
Thank you.
Yep.
Our next question will come from Lee Spencer. Go ahead with your question, Lee.
Thank you. Just kind of curious. You said you were referring to Jenna's question. You talked about it's not, you know, really a team thing. It's a driver thing. So where do you stand on the blocking debate?
I mean, that's so tough, right? I feel like, well, I'll put it to you like this. The best example is last year. The reason Denny won the Daytona 500 was because he didn't throw a massive block. So you do the math there.
I mean, can you win without blocking? I mean, can it go either way? Is it just the individual situation?
Well, I think the situation was pretty similar. Go watch the last lap of the 2020 500. I mean, Denny had a massive run coming to his back bumper. He picked the lane he wanted to go to, and ultimately put himself back on offense within, you know, a couple seconds, and gave himself a shot back around at the line. So watch that race and you tell me.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question will come from Kelly Crandall. Go ahead with the question, Kelly.
Thanks, Matt. Hey, Chase. Alan had said yesterday that looking back on the clash, that you guys weren't as good as you needed to be. Execution strategy was pretty poor, I think were his words. So what were the lessons taken from the clash, considering that it's a different tire and a different aero package than when you won here and ran here in August?
Yeah, it was different
lost Chase
weekend.
there.
I thought Martin was the guy, tough to beat. You know, had he not had his good again. So, have we? Hello.
Okay, we got you back.
Okay. How much of that did you hear?
Very little.
Okay. Yes, I agree with him. I don't think we were as good as we need to be last week. I think the 19 was going to be the guy in that race last weekend. So yeah, I think we can improve in multiple areas. I think we make our car better. I think you know, we can do better on pit road, and I can do better on pit road, and I think I can do better on the track too. So yeah, I don't think we were at our best by any means.
Our next question will come from Nate Ryan. Go ahead with the question, Nate.
Thanks, Matt. Hey, Chase, the changes that NASCAR made to the backstretch chicane, they said they made those in response to drivers. So I'm wondering, were you consulted? And also, do you think they were needed? And what kind of impact do you think it'll have on the race?
No, I don't. I try not to get involved in that stuff. I mean, if there's dirt on the track, don't run through the dirt. I mean, that's pretty simple. As long as there's grass there, I'd say there's going to be dirt underneath it. So, but yeah, I mean, I think in short term, they did a great job. It looked like from the pictures I saw of trying to have a fix to it, which, hey, I mean, I think we should all respect and give props to Chip and everybody at Daytona for putting in the time and the effort to try to have a solution in that short period of time. So I think it'll be good.
So you don't think it'll impact the racing too much, or?
I don't think you'll be able to tell much of a difference, to be honest. Might be a little less dirt on the track, but I don't think the race will change.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Well, Chase, thank you for taking the time to join us this morning, and good luck on the road course this weekend.
Cool. Thanks, guys.